Welcome friends to another Dune video. Today we'll look at The Lady of Caladan, the novel, and a point in it where Paul's father is gone and his mother has been summoned away by the Bene Gesserit. Paul is the acting duke, and out amongst the people of Cala City, with Duncan Idaho, for protection, two women who I can tell you are Bene Gesserit are sent to attack him. Let's get straight into it. They attack at the same time, as if linked mentally. One engaged Duncan, holding a long blade in each hand. The other went for the air, Paul. Duncan blocked with his left arm, and with the right he drew his short sword. He blocked a blow with his swift reaction from her, but it did cut his forearm. Duncan worries that the assassins might use poisoned blades. And in case that happened, Duncan pushed himself to remove both threats before a toxin could take effect, thinking of Paul, of course. Duncan prompts Paul to activate his shield, which the air does, and then Paul counters an attack from the person he is facing. To counter his own assassin, Duncan feinted with his sword, caught the arm, and used that person's momentum to throw them to the ground. In this moment, from the clothes they were both wearing, he identified the attackers as women. Duncan, as he fought, heard Paul fighting with his own shield and blade. Duncan took a moment to activate his shield, and his attacker got back to her feet and moved quickly, faster than Duncan expected, but in this the blade struck his shield too quickly and did not penetrate. Paul fought without words or sound. Whilst Duncan parried, he needed to deal with his woman so he could aid Paul, though he knew the boy could hold his own. She attacked Duncan again, and he blocked with his own weapon and his shield, but she did know the slow blade penetrated the shield. The dagger went through, but he deflected it and pushed the blade up, and then with his hand he grabbed the veil back from her face. He did not know the face he saw, but his opponent did blink in surprise, and Duncan used that one moment to crash into her. The wind was knocked out of her as he struck the brick of the narrow street behind her. Seeing his opponent had no personal shield, Paul thrust with his long knife, and with only a moment's hesitation drove the blade into the woman's upper muscle. But she gave only a little signal of pain, and Paul used that moment to retreat, as he had been taught, 2 steps back to a defendable distance. Duncan's opponent sprang back up, driving him backwards. Paul's assassin, clutching her wound, bolted into an alley, as did the woman facing Duncan now. They perhaps had some strategy of separating to be harder to track down later. Duncan Idaho checked on Paul, who points out he received no wounds, but Duncan did. Duncan places it down as a scratch and says any poison that he might have had, he would have been feeling by now. Paul wonders who they were. Duncan can only speculate about the enemies the Atreides have, and he does that. And Duncan ends the scene by saying the fight was a good experience, as all life is training. Now Jessica does catch up with these threats to her son later in the novel, link in the corner. So now friends, I turn this over to you. Got something to say? Sorry the video is a bit short, but it is what it is. Something to say though, and let me know.